Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are. Dr. Ruth Anderson here with Enlightened World Network. We are bringing to you today the November forecast, new month numerology with our EWN numerologist, Michele Landers. Michele, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you too, Ruth, and hello to everyone. And I love doing these monthly forecasts because it's so interesting to see how that energy turns up and turns out into this world, because the world vibrates to numbers, and we all have our individual numbers, and they really do tell a story. So I'm taking a deep breath, because I really was challenged, even though the numbers are the numbers, they're clear cut, and you don't have to be a psychic to learn numerology, to understand numerology. The numbers are what the numbers are. It does take a lot of practice, and it does take some intuitive ability at times. But I got to tell you, this month, this energy for this month for November has kind of thrown me a little bit off my axis, because it's such strange energy. So I'm just going to delve into what the very in my world, very logical, obvious interpretation of the numbers, but see how they're interacting with one another. So first of all, I think that one of the reasons that it's such a strange energy is because there's a lot of introspective numbers taking place. And as an example, November is an 11 month, and that's an 11-2 vibration. Now, 2 isn't an odd number, but the 11 is, and it's a very, the number 11 is a master number in numerology. And so November, just standing alone by itself is, whoop, surprises. We don't know what's going to happen, but depending on the other numbers that interact with that, that will either add to or take away from that surprise element. But for this month, I have to say, I think there's going to be a lot of unusual events taking place. And it's a very intensely spiritual month, without a doubt. So we know, though, that when spirituality comes knocking on your door, if you are not welcoming that energy, and when I say spiritual energy, that means pulling back, looking within, being the observer, incorporating peaceful and compassionate energy into your life, it can be upheavals at times. So depending on how the world is reacting emotionally and spiritually is going to determine how challenging and this month could be. So we know that the world is in a year of change. We know that, and that energy is starting to wane. So we're going to be coming into a new energy, which is 6, which is about family and home and domestic issues. So we'll see how that plays out in the next 2 months. But in the meantime, the entire world is under this vibration of 5. And then this month with the 11-2, we have 7, because 5 and 2 is 7. Now, 7 is a very spiritual, introspective, what have we done type of energy. And it invites us to look within. Now, that's on the very spiritual level. So it's bound to cause people to stop and take stock of what has happened so far, what has transpired so far in this year, and reevaluate everything, and to let go of the past. Because I do believe that there is this, understandably, this apprehension about going forward. And especially when we have new energies coming in, it just, for everyone, you know, there's a little bit of excitement. What is the new year going to hold? And especially for the last 20 some months that we've been going through as a world, as a country, as a world, it's a little bit apprehensive. What's coming down the pike next? And so in this month, it's asking us spiritually to not dwell on what has happened before, but to have an introspection and a look at, well, what have we learned through all of this? What have we learned about ourselves? What have we learned about the world? What is this teaching us? What is the big lesson here? And so for all of us, it's about learning to live a more spiritual life, a simpler life, and to have a lot of gratitude and appreciation, which is perfect for the month of November, which is Thanksgiving. But to understand and to ask the big questions on how can we go forward in a unified way, as opposed to so much of the conflict that we've been experiencing. So yes, you do have to have a voice for the things that you'd like to change, but let's not do it in an aggressive manner. You can be assertive without being aggressive. So the number 11 by itself is full of surprises. Now, those can be wonderful surprises where we go, oh my goodness, how great that we're turning this corner. And I do think we're turning the corner for sure with COVID. I don't mean it's going to disappear completely, but I do believe that going forward, the numbers are dropping and they're going to continue to drop. I know I've heard some people say, Ruth, oh, the flu season's going to be awful this year. I'm not feeling that. The numbers don't seem to indicate that. I don't think it's going to be this horrible flu season, or that a new virus is going to come and attack us. I think we just have to make our way very slowly this month towards all new beginnings. So there is, again, a little bit of this shock and upheaval sense. So I think there's going to be like more earthquakes and more of this erratic earth changes, because we do have to pay attention to Mother Earth. And we've been very, very focused on home and family and individuals and this virus that we've been experiencing. And we do have to pay more attention to Mother Earth. There's also like shining the light on things that have been hidden for a while. Now that can be on the world stage of other countries, finding out secrets. It could be in our own backyard, maybe the rich and powerful, secrets coming to life, like, wow, really? Of course, I have to say nowadays, I don't know how anything can shock us anymore. You know, we've been through so much. So there's a lot of surprise happenings, but I think overall, oh, and I know there's some other things. So I'm not an astrologer, but I do kind of collect astrological information that seems to match up with the numerology. And I know that there is an opposition of Mars and Uranus, and that is usually pretty explosive. And that's around the 17th of this month, which is also my brother's birthday. So it's not and I know what else before I forget this. Like I said, my head's been all over the place with all these numbers and trying to pull it in so I could give some really concise, helpful information. I do want to mention to everyone, the 4th is Thursday. That is, it's the new moon, and it's a really powerful new moon. So do your intentions. You know, new moon energy is great for bringing in new energy, in supporting your intentions, whatever it is you want to manifest, whatever it is you want to bring about. and do so with real enthusiasm. Again, letting go of what's been going on for the last 21 months or so. And, it's a time to, again, let go of the past, move forward, envision what you would like your world to be, and envision that in connection with other people, because surely, without a doubt, we have got to pull together as a nation, as a world. So it is time to reflect, it is time to review, it is time to renew, and it is a time for a lot of reevaluation, contemplation, humanitarian efforts, anything that you can do to either volunteer in some big way or some small way, or contribute to humanity right now, please do that. So it's kind of a lay low month, although through no particular action on our own part, we may be hearing about things that are new and exciting, especially technology, though. I don't know exactly what that's going to mean. It might mean something in the financial sector, but something new and unusual may be popping up. And we also, November also has the energy of 9, and that is all about completions. It's all about transitions. And again, it's about letting go of what is not working in our lives and what's worn out. So that is where I kind of came to this feeling that we're reaching a turning point with COVID. And because it has been such a traumatic time for us, in a way, there are pieces of it that feels like it almost paralyzes us. Like, what do I do now? What do we do next? I've been, so many of us have been so, maybe, I guess the word is myopic in our view, because we just want to take care of our immediate, ourselves and our home and our families. So, it's kind of like this feeling of being closed in. And now, how do we reintegrate into the world again? How do we do this in a more uplifting, cohesive kind of way? So that's all the energy that's operating, all of these odd numbers, 5, 7, 9. And so that asks us to pull in. So we're being asked and forced to look at things differently. It is encouraging for us to know that there's going to be a lot of more outward energy taking place for both the world and the United States in 2022. And that's 222. That is a very strong number, those twos. And that is definitely about teamwork and pulling together as a nation and a world. So this month, I would say, for the most part, kind of lay low, reevaluate, watch, and wait is probably the 2 key words. Watch, wait, contemplate. And I did pull some tarot cards, because I do involve myself at times with tarot. I do tarot readings, and the cards I pulled up was very interesting, because I pulled up the 4 of Cups, and what was the other one? Oh, the 5 of Cups. And the 5 of Cups is an interesting card, because it's someone, they're kind of shrouded, in this cape, and they're looking at all of these cups that are spread out, and cups are emotions and feelings, and they're looking at all these cups that are on the ground and not looking behind them or in front of them. It could be that there are other cups that are upright, and so of course there's a meaning behind that. And again, that reinforces exactly what I've been feeling. It's not looking back, even though for some people it's very difficult. They've been through so many traumatic events. even for myself, recently, there has been a string of deaths around me, some very directly, and some, some friends that I've known for quite a while. So when that happens, it tends to pull us in and make us feel afraid and doubtful about the future and what is this all about. So there's so much of this energy that is taking place right now that can be very confusing and paralyzing. And that's another word, it's confusing. I'm not sure, where am I going? Where are we going? What's going to happen next? So, but the good news is, like everything else, it doesn't last forever. So if anything, if you use the energy of this month to uplift you in a spiritual way and really pump up your spiritual practices and embrace the idea of a new world coming, and reevaluate your place in the world, and reevaluate how you can strengthen your spiritual life and how you can be of benefit to the world, then okay, so use that energy for that instead of being fearful and confused and paralyzed. So be the observer this month more than anything. I think that's kind of it right now. If I come up with anything else, I'll certainly, spew it out. But how does that resonate with you, Ruth? What's your feelings about all this?
It makes a lot of sense for the energy that I've been experiencing. What I have been seeing is folks that are normally really centered getting caught up in the spin. And it's been hard. I mean, I'm watching folks that are normally just really strong in their knowingness and their beliefs, just sort of questioning everything. And it's a fascinating time. And this is when we need folks more than ever to stand in what they know to be true. And Terry Angel and I yesterday were doing a silent meditation. And what we saw, we actually saw like centrifuges and how folks are just being caught in the spin. And when you're caught in the spin, then it throws you to the outside and not to the center. And the center is where we need to be. So the message we were getting yesterday was just stay off the centrifuge, right?
Wow.
Just completely remove yourself from those things that are throwing you off kilter, whether it's the news or the politics or angst about COVID, or, I mean, there's a myriad of things that are throwing folks off right now. But really to just sort of take a time out and don't let yourself get in the spin. And if you see that you're in the spin, step back and say, okay, what do I have to do to get grounded here?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, that is a perfect analogy, and it is alignment with the numbers, which is always so amazing, so amazing. And people sometimes say, well, how do I do that? And I think we forget that it's just one thought away, because it's what our thoughts control our emotions, and our emotions will control our actions. So it's just one thought away. How can I see this differently? How can I level up, just one little level up in my feelings and my reactions? So I think what you and Terry are saying are in perfect alignment. Yeah, remove yourself from it. And we can do it. Pick up something, I always have plenty of spiritual books available that I can just open up to any page, and I know it's going to be perfect. And I know it's going to help get me centered. And again, I want to reinforce the word observer, because you can watch what's going on, and even if it's right there in your face in family, but you don't have to step in to the chaos or the drama or the whirlwind or the tornado. You don't have to. You have that choice of saying, I kind of play this. Well, it's not really a game with myself, because I have all these energies or people talking to me, but it's like I can say, wow, isn't that interesting what's going on? I can pull back from that. I don't have to take part of it. Even if I'm directly attacked, even if you're attacked by someone, and of course I'm talking about verbally or emotionally, hopefully physically, that's a different story, call 911. But you have the ability, we all have this ability to say, I don't have to respond in kind, because that only adds to, you're only adding, as they say, fuel to the fire, and it heightens that negative energy. So it is about so much about being the observer this month and tapping into that divine connection that we all have, which I always try to reinforce. And I know that you do too, with the wonderful work that you do on Enlightened World Network, is to get us all to pay attention to our center and our connection to the divine.
Right. Right. And, it was interesting because what Terry and I were seeing yesterday, when folks are in the spin, there's all this low vibrational self-talk that's coming in. And I experienced it myself this week as I was physically not feeling well. And all of a sudden, I'm hearing things like, self-loathing and hatred. And I mean, all of this negative, really low level stuff. And at one point, it just sort of got fascinating. It was like, okay, where did that come from? I mean, where is that coming from? And I mean, at times you even can say to yourself, I don't want to think that way. I don't have to believe what I think. And it was so interesting because it was coming in quickly, and it was like when I didn't bite on one particular thing, it was like, oh, well, let's try something else, and something else would come in. It's like, no, I don't want that either. Okay, well, let's try something else. And it was to the point that I was going, okay, this is just weird. I don't even understand this. But I just think for folks that are highly susceptible to taking other people's energy, this is really the time to set your boundaries and say, no, those ideas aren't coming in. Those thoughts aren't coming in. This is what I'm choosing to believe, and just stick with that.
Yes, absolutely. And there's so much power in our intentions and our focus that we really have to be cognizant of that. And what you're describing is just so accurate as far as the numbers go, and amazing, because it is this very confusing, chaotic, spinning type of energy. So to be able to step back, be the observer. And when you were talking about that stuff coming in like rapid fire, I've had that too. I also had a friend who went through, she's been going through this really challenging time, but it's about her thoughts. And I know that's being fueled by the energy that is out there. Because remember, even though we're spiritual beings, we're having this human experience. So, we are still susceptible to these human emotions. And, I know people get tired of me saying it, but I think it's just such a good point that even Jesus had bad days when he was in physical form on this earth. So remember that when you start putting pressure on yourself, like, where's this coming from? Why am I doing this? And it makes you spiral down even more, because those who are on a conscious spiritual path, because we know everybody's on a spiritual path and on a spiritual journey, And for some people, that's not a conscious acknowledgement. But for those who consciously acknowledge this is a spiritual trip, we tend to be really hard on ourselves when these energies kind of grab hold of us. And what happens is we'll start to, as I said, start to spiral down more because, well, why am I feeling this way? And what am I doing wrong? You're not doing anything wrong.
Right.
Be kind to yourself. Be gentle. This is a moment in time. This isn't the rest of your life. And then if you're gentle and compassionate with yourself, then that energy kind of, it needs anger to really bloom and blossom, so to speak, to catch hold. So what you want to do is remove that anxiety and that anger, and it'll kind of dissipate then. So it'll be interesting. I'd love to hear from other people and what they're feeling so far, and especially going into the month of November, how everybody else is feeling. So I hope people comment,
Yeah, that would be
about
lovely.
this.
Yeah, well, thank you, Michele. This is always so interesting. So interesting. And I pay attention to it as the month rolls out. And it's like, oh, yeah, that's what Michele was talking about. Oh, yeah. That's what it looks like.
So just a reminder on the 4th to everyone, do your powerful intentions. It's a really powerful energy on the 4th and the new moon. So
excellent. And then you said the 17th.
Okay. So again, that is an opposition of Mars and Uranus. And according to astrology, that's supposed to be a fireworks day. So I'm circling it on my calendar in red because I'm curious to see what's going to happen that day. So,
okay. All right. Well, great. Well, Michele, thank you so much. If folks want to know more about you or know how you can work with them personally, how do they find you?
Well, thank you. Just go to michelelanders.com. That's Michele with one L. And you can set up a free 15-minute consultation and talk with me about life coaching, if you're stuck in your life, about numerology, pretty much anything in your life that you might be having a challenge with. I'm happy to spend that time. And I would also suggest to people, wouldn't you like to get your numerology done for 2022 and find out what's up for you and how you can best use the energy? Because that's what this is about. The knowledge of numerology is to help people navigate with a little more confidence and a little more peace and a little more knowledge with whatever the energy that's vibrating for them based on their personal numbers. So we could do that too. So
and I can tell you it's really helpful too, because I had that given to me as a gift. And there've been a couple of times this year that I've looked back through it to go, oh, that's why I'm feeling this way. So it's very validating.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, friends, thank you for joining us. Have a fabulous November. And we look forward to seeing you for different shows here on Enlightened World Network. Y'all take good care and God bless. Thank you, Michele.